Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg. I am the nerd of Nerd and Noob. This is my brother across from me, Michael. He would be the noob.
How's it going?
And this is a new podcast because I'm bored. I wanted to try something. I wanted to talk about stuff, and I'm tired of playing too many video games because reading comic books is nerdy enough.
Fair enough.
So, have no clue how this is really going to go yet. Might do some news, talk about some comics, TV shows, what have you, and we'll just flesh it out from there. So bear with us. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. If you do, thank you very much.
Alright, so I'm Michael. I'm kind of the experienced one when it comes to talking to myself. So I'm just going to help him push along this first episode because he's going to do all the editing, so I don't care. Kind of way we got it laid out to start with is we're kind of introducing ourselves like he did and talking about the show, what it's going to be. Like he said, it's going to be pretty much news and talking about how a comic, we may read a comic every week or every 2 weeks or every episode, whatever it ends up being, and kind of discuss it. And I'm very much a noob. He reads this stuff all the time. I know who the characters are. Yeah, I do that good. I do that well, some of them. And then
he doesn't know that many.
Yeah, probably not. And and then we'll just talk about random stuff and see what flows out of it. So,
all right. So I found this earlier during the week, and there is. You don't watch it, but I know you know of it. There is the Earth's Mightiest Avengers cartoon on. I think that one comes on Disney XD.
Yeah, that's what it says right here.
And what they're doing is Disney, maybe Marvel, is canceling that one to start up another one.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't get to read the article, but it seems to me that it's what it says. It says Avengers Assemble to replace Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's the same damn show.
Okay, what they're doing with it is, first of all, people, normal, everyday people know who the new Avengers are from the movie. Hawkeye, Thor, Hulk, Cap, Scarlet, and, that's Iron Man, and so on. That's the main crew that everyone knows now. So having any other form of that doesn't really work. No one knows who Ant-Man is. No one knows who Wasp is, and they were two of the originals from the show and from the early on in the comics themselves. Okay. They were they are two of the oldest members.
Right.
So my guess is they're canceling it to bring it in line with the new, what my friends are calling the Whedonverse. Because he did it. If Joss Whedon does not do everything Avengers for the next 15 years, then they will be right.
I can't see them making too many Avengers movies, though. That's the thing.
But they'll make probably 2 to 3.
Yeah.
They're at least making number 2, and if it breaks records, they're not stupid. They're going to make a third one.
Yeah, but eventually the problem is breaking records isn't the point. We'll talk about something that breaks records and that irritates the crap out of me a little bit later. But it's breaking records isn't the point. Even if if you do 5 movies and the 5th one shatters records, you can stop. You can stop rehashing the same old stuff because eventually what you do is you water it down.
But that's the thing is, especially with the Avengers, you have since the 70s at least. We're not old, so I don't know all my dates exactly. You got at least close to the 70s worth of, all the way up to now, of stories. You're not going to rehash the same story. It may have a story arc that can kind of continue, but it's going to continue on for, you could do anything.
Yeah.
It's the Marvel.
I mean, yeah, you can, but the problem is, you look at Hollywood now, it's like nothing's original. And when something is original, it goes. So they rehash. Yeah, the comics, it's a little bit easier to do that because you can always do it something with whatever history or some kind of new crisis. Like half the comics nowadays probably have something that coincide when it comes to, or something about like current events, like with the war on terror or whatever. It's you got stuff that changes like that. So I don't know. That just canceling this one. Hang on, let me read the article here. Canceling this one to do another one doesn't make any sense for me. So let's see. They did. Apparently, Marvel had no comments. Let's see. let's see. The Earth's Mightiest Heroes premiered in October 2010, initially featuring the team's original comic book roster: Iron Man, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man, and Wasp, which later expanded to include Captain America, Black Panther, Hawkeye, and Ms. Marvel. Okay, fair enough. Avengers Assemble, like the recently launched Marvel comic series of the same name, to reflect the lineup of the blockbuster live-action film: Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, plus the Falcon. He's not in the movie, so why do you add somebody like that? Doesn't make any sense.
You have to add the character, or as you said, yes, there is a possibility of stale. The Falcon is an old Cap character. I don't really know that much about him. I do know he is an old character that did a lot of stuff with Captain America. I think he might be out of Brooklyn. I don't know for sure.
Well, and here's another thing with it. I mean, you've got everybody in the original except for Ant-Man and Wasp. And now I know they're not big characters, but surely you can have a lot of fun with that. And just because the movie they decided not to put those two characters in the first Avengers movie, then you're essentially taking them out of the cartoon. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. It just sounds like a stupid idea. You cancel one to come up with another. It looks like it's from the same people.
I saw somewhere where maybe Marvel is going to cancel the old one because they might have gotten help from other production companies to start it up, to get it started, because it was not as popular as it is now, and start this new one maybe even solely under the Marvel Animated Studios banner. So they have all the control. All they have to have is somebody else to do it.
Control or not, I'm sure there would have been a way for them to pull that control away from whoever else had it. Buy the rights to it. I mean, it's Marvel. They've got more money than God. So I may just be the co-host, but I'm going to call an end to this story so we don't run over like crazy. Any of the stories that we do, he'll be sure to put links in the show notes. About what we talk about, assuming he can figure out how to do that.
Where we've got them. I have sources that I've been reading from for a couple of years now, so I will try and put anything I can on the show notes. Alright, next up is, it has been announced that the Adam West version of the Batman television show is going to be possibly, hopefully, oh my god, I hope it happens, put on DVD. I don't know, I'm not even 30 yet. I wasn't alive for the old television show. I've seen a few episodes of it, but what got me is the movie. The Batman movie years ago. It is campy. It is funny. I loved it ever since I was little.
I think they definitely need to call this the Bang Pow edition, just because that's what they did in those. And you're right, it's very campy. Nowadays it borders on stupid, just because that's just not what we do anymore.
Right,
but I don't want to anger anybody.
You got to look at
stupid.
No, it's what they could do at the time, and the version of Batman they portray is a very early version of Batman. It's not the first version, and it's not nowhere near the versions we're using now. But early, in some of the earlier comic books, especially, there was parts where you've got Bruce Wayne sitting there talking to the Commissioner. And the Commissioner takes a phone call, and then Bruce is like, well, what's wrong? Commissioner tells him, and Bruce goes with them to the crime scene. And then Batman shows up. I mean, he was very much with the law whenever, in those days, he was very much working with the police and the Commissioner and everybody else. It was very, very family friendly. I'm not going to say unlike the stuff now, but it is called The Dark Knight for a reason nowadays.
Yeah.
Whereas the old Batman stuff, he wouldn't be famous for being Batman since the 70s, right, if it was that bad.
Yeah, I mean, Adam West, I think a lot of the clout for Adam West that he'd gotten over the years was because of Batman, and then now he does the Family Guy stuff, which just makes me laugh. He's portrays such an idiot, which leads me to wonder. And Adam West, I'm sure he's not an idiot, but look at the old campy Batman. It was almost kind of stupid. Like the picture they've got here on the website, it looks like he's doing like the little going water dance. I don't know what it's called. You got the V's next to his eye. He looks kind of stupid. He looks a little and and then you turn him in, and he's Adam West mayor on Family Guy, and he's an idiot. So you got to wonder if he can even portray that kind of seriousness.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen him do any serious acting. I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has other calls to it. But I'm a nerd. I am a giant fan. I love the old campy stuff. He does voices in Family Guy. I'm gonna say, because I have a child, I've seen him on Fairly Odd Parents as Catman, I think it's Catman, and it's just as goofy, it's just as campy, and I think that's part of the funny part of it is, like, because what everyone knows now, it's the Batcave, it's the Bat computer, it's the shark bat repellent.
That one made me laugh.
You don't have to put a label on everything now.
Would it be shark bat repellent, or is it bat shark repellent?
I think it's shark bat repellent.
No, that doesn't make sense. It has to be bat shark repellent.
Well, what is a bat shark?
No, you gotta put the pause in there. Bat shark repellent.
Yeah,
like you got bat a ring.
Not to mention, and we can't discount him. I would listen to Burt Ward say something Batman every day.
No, fair enough. All right, so I think we call that one to an end. Again, link in the description of anything. So, and next, why don't you talk about, apparently Warner Brothers secretly revives Justice League movie.
Okay, so I think it was last year before last. There was talk, because of how big Batman was getting again, that they were going to try to do a Justice League movie. Okay. This is the one I've always thought was going to be the hardest, because you've got people who are always flying, who are always shooting lasers and everything else. Because of the Avengers, the technology is there now. It's not impossible. Granted, Iron Man is in full body suit. Thor flies across the screen faster than you can see him. So, I mean, you've got to wonder how they'll do Superman now.
Well, they did all right in the line. I know a lot of people didn't like the last Superman movie, but the fight scenes in it were very well done, in my opinion. I thought they were very well done. And I know it's got to be expensive. That's the problem you run into. What I love is the fact that it says Warner Brothers secretly revives Justice League movie. I'm sorry, it's not a secret if people know about it.
If I read on through that one and actually another one, and apparently they started redoing it, started having it, having the writing done for it about a year ago, in what they're calling advance of the popularity for the Avengers movie.
Apparently they got the Warner's secretly hired hot screenwriter Will Bale from Gangster Squad and Lethal Weapon reboot. I'm sorry, what?
I don't know. Another day. The other thing is mentioned on the site I've got here is he's actually a screenwriter from Castle as well.
Okay, now that I can do. I like Castle.
I mean, you've got to think that at some point he's talked to Nathan Fillion about Green Lantern.
There's no way he plays it.
No. I don't mean playing it. Nathan Fillion has done the voice acting work for it for 2 or 3 films.
Right. Okay.
So he's a big comic book nerd. He's he probably loves this stuff.
Right.
So what you've got to think is who are they going to put in it? There is a main Justice League group that you do put in it.
Well, I think what you have to do with this is you almost I think you do it kind of backwards from the way Marvel did. Otherwise, it just seems like a catch up to Marvel. I think you reboot, and I hate reboots to a point, especially done so quickly after the end of another one. But I think you essentially have to.
You're speaking of Spider-Man, aren't you?
Well, Spider-Man and Batman's been rebooted and all that stuff. But I think you're not going to get the guy who's playing Batman now. What's his name?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. You're not going to get Christian Bale to play Batman for any more movies. He's done. That's from what I've heard.
Yeah, he's done. This is his and Nolan's last. They're done.
Okay, so. And while Ryan Reynolds made a good Green Lantern, I don't see it happening again. He's moved on to other things. You don't have another cast. I think what they're doing... in my opinion, the way it should be done, I think they need to cast Batman, Green Lantern. The picture here has got Batman, Green Lantern, Superman, Aquaman.
Hey, read the new comics. I will make you read the new comics. Aquaman is good now.
Okay. And Cyborg, and then I'm sure Wonder Woman would have to be in there. I say you cast this movie and then you do the offshoot movies.
Well, see, that's the problem, though, is a lot of people are talking that if the new Superman movie, Man of Steel, that is coming out, I'm not sure when it's coming out.
I only just read something about that.
When it comes out, if it's any good, everybody's going to holler, well, they need to have Henry Cavill, I think is his name, play the part. Now, I've seen pictures from post-work and stuff like that.
Okay, now that's not bad because that movie's not even out.
I think they use...
I don't think
Batman will not get another movie before a Justice League movie.
I don't think they reuse Ryan Reynolds.
No.
I don't think they reuse anybody that's played these characters in anything that's been released now. But I still believe that, yes, I know they're doing the Superman movie, and for me, I think it's bad timing. I truly believe that the Justice League movie should come out first, because, especially with the way the Marvel things are working, the movies are almost episodic now. It's just a 2.5 hour episode of Iron Man, and then you had the 2.5 hour crappy episodes of the Hulk, and the two previous movies for the Hulk, and then so on and so forth, and then suddenly, okay, now we've got a joint episode, and that's where the Avengers movie came in. I think you could do that backwards with the Justice League. And I know I said I'm the noob. I just don't know stuff. I have ideas. But you do that backwards with the Justice League. You cast them. You do the Justice League movie. You come in and you do the first hour or so as the meetups, because they're not going to go back and show all the starts of these guys. It's just not going to happen. For that matter, I doubt Aquaman's in a movie, and I doubt they put Green Lantern in it. My guess is it's probably going to be Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the big three.
That makes the Trinity. It doesn't make the Justice League. Justice League has to include at least, I'd say, 5 members, if not 7.
I don't know that it'll happen.
I think at the worst, you should do the Trinity. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You're gonna put Green Lantern in there because he's early, he's often, and he's been there for a while. It's not. I liked the Green Lantern movie, not because of Ryan Reynolds, but not because I did not like it because of Ryan Reynolds. I'm a Green Lantern fan. I liked it, but they're just. I think if they're gonna do it like the way you want to do it, is I'd much rather see lower tiered actors in it to start with.
I think you have to do lower tiered actors.
And saying that, I know who was in the Avengers. I know that Robert Downey Jr. was in Avengers.
The only big actor, really, Scarlett Johansson, while she's mega hot, is not more than a side character 90% of the time.
No, she's
Robert Downey Jr. before he became Iron Man hadn't been seen in anything good in 10 years. So all of these characters, almost none of them were huge, big actors, and most of these people, their names were made because of these movies.
Some of them, yes.
So you can put some big names in there, but big names that have been out of the limelight. You can't do like the original Batman or the remakes Batman. All those crappy ones that they came up. You can't throw. Well, we got Michael Keaton,
good movies.
Val Kilmer, George Clooney. It's like, how do you can't bump and change them that quickly and then continue on like nothing's happening. It just doesn't work that way. So but you can't just throw like George Clooney on back onto my thought. You can't just throw George Clooney into the role of Batman and go, he's Batman. No, that's George Clooney. He's not a low enough name to become Bruce Wayne. When before
No. And I will always say this in the Batman movies, those last two. If you could have used George Clooney as Bruce Wayne, because he is a Bruce Wayne. He is not billionaire, but millionaire, playboy figure. It's George Clooney.
Right. Okay.
I love George Clooney. Everyone loves George Clooney. And then used Kilmer's Batman because he changed his voice. He had a voice. Then, I think it might have been better. But, that's off topic. I think you're going to get at a minimum, they're going to try and shove at least 5 characters in. Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and Flash. Which, speaking of Flash, I honestly wouldn't care if a Flash television show or movie happened before anything. I watched the old one in the 90s. I loved it. It was low budget. It was so low budget that they barely had one, it seemed like, but I loved it. I think Flash is due for something big.
And if they do it right.
And the Flash has been part of some of the biggest story arcs and storylines in comic books. When he died, it was in the 80s, it was one of the biggest things to happen. He stayed dead for a very long time. I mean, it's comic book. No one stays dead forever. You can get.
I'll take your word for it.
Captain America got shot with apparently a time bullet. I don't know. Haven't read that part.
Okay. So we're getting off topic here. I'm like I said, I know I'm just a co-host, but I'm gonna try.
Well, I'm a nerd. I need someone to cut me off.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm here. I'm the noob, so that I can go. Okay, irrelevant. And I can pull us back off. So, all right. So we're gonna call that an end to that story. See how it fleshes out. If you're listening and you know anything about that, shoot us a message. Let us know. We have a Twitter. It's at Nerd and the Noob, as it's called. All the words.
I haven't posted anything yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and post stuff. Both of us are.
Yeah, I'll attempt
I'm gonna, I work a lot, so when I can post things, if I see something cool, I'm going to post something if I can. If not, we would just love it if people would say something.
Yeah. Anyways, so on to the last story we've got for today, and this one was, do
you want to talk about your last story? Or
yeah, we'll talk about this last story.
Okay.
And then we'll do the other thing.
This is the segment I wanted him to do because, again, my brother is the noob. He's not a nerd anymore. We were both when we were kids, but I progressed as being a nerd, thus I'm labeled as such.
I'm not so much a comic nerd, which is what this show is going to kind of be, is more towards the comic side of everything. But when we find something that's what I consider to be nerd-worthy, I think we're going to do it.
Right.
So this says, Kathleen Kennedy to co-chair Lucasfilm as George Lucas moves forward to retirement, or with retirement. And I say, how the freaking you... Thank God, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Because what we're saying earlier is something about ruining franchises because you let them go on too long.
No.
This is my story. You stay out of it. Okay, so apparently he is retiring. And I say thank God. Because while I pray at the altar of George Lucas, the man needs to leave my heavenly Star Wars movies alone. He changes them. Every time he wants to remake them, he changes something else. I don't know a lot because, again, I'm the noob here. I know there's this big scandal going on about who shot first, Guido or Han. And I believe in the original, Han shot first before Guido could get a shot off. But when the remake came off, Guido shot first so that it didn't look like Han was just killing a guy in cold blood. So, shut up. He's sitting over here like, I want to talk. So, what I don't get is why that kind of crap matters. It doesn't matter. It's a gun. No. So, I say, George Lucas, have a great retirement. Leave my damn movies alone. And that's what's going to be the end of, what does he say on here? Noob discusses. This is my area.
I get my rebuttal.
Okay, rebuttal away.
I get my rebuttal. Okay, I understand everybody's take on leave the 70s and 80s versions of Star Wars alone. I understand that. I have copies at home. I have the VHSs. I break it out. I dust them off. And I really do, keep up with them. But I will say that George Lucas, regardless of what he's done with the movies in the past and everything else, he's also provided the other stuff that we love. It's the pod, the blah, 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 not the pod racers. I'm losing my mind. The cartoon show, which is going strong right now. If you're a Star Wars fan, you love that show. There's talks of 1 or 2 live action shows to focus on.
I want to see the brothers, the twins. The
kids?
Jedi kid. I want to see all the kids. See, that's the one thing that, you know what? Screw it up because it's not part of the lore anymore. I want to see the kids. We've seen the prequels. We've seen the movies. Let's see the sequels. Go ahead.
There's a lot of stuff that without Lucas, it wouldn't be there. When a lot of people say when he went back and he did these other, the new 3 movies and he messed everything up. Those 3 movies, from what I understand, I may be wrong if I am, tell me, were written pretty much at the same time. The story was with the new one, with the old ones, and he had to pick, and he go, okay, this part would make a better movie now because it's what I can do. It's
yeah,
what
absolutely.
I don't have to, I mean, he had to create a lot
But the
of stuff.
problem is when he made the new ones, you can make prequels that make sense. But when he made them, my problem with doing prequels 30, 40 years later is the fact that your technology's so much different.
But that's the thing, is it took him 30 years or 20 years or whatever, 70s, 90s, 20 years. It took him 20 years to make the technology.
Yeah, see, well, BS. A lot of it has to do with the casting, and that's not necessarily his fault. Hayden Christensen.
Yeah,
I
had Ewan McGregor. I was good through all 3 films. I was fine.
It's just, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to get off that topic.
Anyway, regardless, as a Star Wars fan, I want to say congratulations to Kathleen Kennedy. I read about you. You've got a lot of famous people, a lot of good work you've done. I'm sure you will do fantastic with the Star Wars stuff. Okay, you are ready to move on.
Yes, I am ready to move on. Okay, so here in the document, I lost the document. There it goes. It says we've got, okay, so I'll let you introduce the next part.
Which part do you want to do next?
The part after number 3.
Okay, so what started the whole podcast idea with my brother, because again, he is not the nerdiest person in the world, is the fact that he asked a stupid question the other day. And this stupid question was,
I don't remember.
do you watch
Young
Young Justice?
Do you watch Young Justice?
Of course I watch Young Justice. I read the comic book when the old comic book when it was out in the 90s.
I didn't know it was a comic book.
Yeah, it was a comic book, and it's a comic book again. Alright, so what we were going to try to do is we're going to just talk about it when we watch it. You know, if we miss it, we miss it. We'll talk about something else. But I love this show. Many nerdgasms through the entire thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you said you had your thoughts on today's episode.
Well,
We
it's
just
like,
watched it.
you kind of got to recap. From what I can remember from my vast knowledge of Young Justice so far, is it started out with some of the originals. You know, it actually started out with the sidekicks. You had the Junior Flash kid. What's his name?
Kid Flash.
Kid Flash. You had Robin. You had Aqualad. You had Artemis.
Well, actually, it was Red Arrow first.
Okay, yeah, Red Arrow first, and then he went all whiny bitched up, and
then it was Artemis.
Artemis, what's her name? Artemis?
Let's just go with Artemis.
Okay, and I think that was pretty much it. Who am I forgetting?
Connor.
Duh. Superboy. And so, it starts out with them, that core group, but it only runs, this is what confused me about the whole season, and I'm sure they did it to establish it, but it only ran for like a season with them, that core group, and then they jump into this weird freaking invasion thing, and suddenly stuff's everywhere. It's stupid crazy. I don't know what's going on. Now we've got Nightwing with a different Robin.
Okay, that's Tim.
Yeah, whatever.
Tim Drake. The 5 year later thing threw me off a lot. I was a little upset about it. One of my favorite, I love Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson is a great character. But he's always been my favorite as Nightwing, not Robin. Tim Drake is my favorite Robin. But my favorite character built up was Wally. Flash.
Right. Okay.
Kid
And
Flash.
so okay, I got that.
And then they did that 5 year gap, and all of a sudden, Kid Flash isn't even on the team anymore.
Right. I don't know. They just okay. So, anyways, what
If
happens
is
is
the show. We're gonna just we're gonna talk about the show as it is today. From day.
Yeah,
from
if you've got like
starting
an on-demand service or you can watch it online, I suggest you do it because if you like comics at all, if you've picked up a comic and go, ooh, that's pretty, you're probably going to like this show. So, go check it out. Young Justice. It's on Cartoon
All right,
Network.
so today's episode opened with Artemis and Wally. I cannot think of Artemis's name for the life of me. It opened with them in their apartment. They're together. They're a couple. They're retired quotes in the air, and they're not. They're trying to get out of the scene, as they put it. But she's gearing up to go back to help the team do something. And
yep, name's just Artemis. Had to wiki that.
So
That's what they call her.
That it goes from that to just before the opening credits. of Nightwing giving CPR and pronouncing her dead. And automatically, I'm already freaking out because not only do they stop using characters I enjoy, Wally West, but they're going to kill characters I enjoy. And
yeah, that one threw me for a loop. But I do, honestly, what I will say about the new stuff, while the 5-year, we'll go back a minute, while the 5-year later thing threw me for a loop, the Nightwing thing, which I don't know anything about, and you can educate me later, we don't need to do that on this. Well, I knew almost nothing about. I knew he was the original Robin. That was about it. Awesomeage. I mean, he's Junior Batman. Essentially, what he is, in my opinion.
Yes,
is what he is. He's smart. But he's younger. Not crotchety. Yeah, not all mean.
Not grumpy.
Yeah, grumpy. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, so you go from that, and what it's focusing on is. I mean, there's details I'm going to miss because I've only watched it one time. I've got to watch it a couple more times. It's focused around the possibility of attacks on a rocket carrying a satellite communication system that is going to Mars.
No, it's going to go halfway between Mars and Earth.
Anyway, we're going to use it to communicate with Mars better because apparently they're not all extinct.
Oh yeah, that one that got me. Okay, so you got Martian Manhunter, and you got McGann.
Yes,
that was the other original that we forgot.
Forget McGann. I can't forget McGann.
Okay, so we know there's Martians there. Okay, but it's never widely mentioned that there's a society out there on Mars.
Well, most of the old stuff is a lot of like. For us, the Justice League cartoon is there were no other green Martians as he is. There are white Martians, which are portrayed as the bad guys, and if you near the end of season 1, you've got, where McGann shows she is a white Martian,
right? Which
are supposed to be bad, but no one cares. Everyone knew it, and it wasn't a big letdown for me because I thought it was cool that no one cared. But. Yes, apparently there's society up there, and we'll get more from that. And by the way, little nerdgasm for me, G. Gordon Godfrey.
Okay.
G. Gordon Godfrey is, from what I know, I think it was a series called Legends years ago, and it featured Apocalypse. It was an Apocalypse story. And he was like the wartime radio guy for Apocalypse.
Okay.
He came to Earth, talked bad about our heroes, made people mistrust them. Things were set in motion for the mistrust of heroes. Batman, Robin, they were all beat. I mean, horrible things happened to members of the Justice League.
Right.
And so it was just a little nerdgasm for me. I know who he is, barely. I need to do more research.
Voiced by the awesome Tim Curry. I had to look up his name because I could not remember
it. Was Tim Curry.
Tim Curry is awesome. I love every vocal he ever does because he's just got an awesome voice. Favorite thing he ever did was the movie with the drag and
Rocky Horror.
Thank you, Rocky Horror. My brain is turning off because I've been playing too much games today.
Okay, so the episode goes on.
Wiki.
Artemis is there. She's with Robin. They're doing a whole thing. I'm horrible at descriptions. They're doing an operation to protect this satellite.
Right.
And
lots of action.
Yeah, a lot of stuff goes down. They finally talk about why McGann and Connor stopped dating, why they're broken up.
We'll leave that as a secret.
Which, if you haven't seen, is very cool. But apparently, she uses her powers for evil. And
so apparently after all this, blah, 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 action sequence, Aqualad shows up. He's now a quote-unquote bad guy working for his dad, biological father.
Black Manta.
Black Manta. So now he's, I'm assuming, Mini Manta.
Mini Manta, yes. He got the helmet with the saucer dish.
Yeah, the saucer dish helmet head thing. And so he comes up and they start fighting and he stabs Artemis right in the chest. Or so we're led to believe. Because at the end of the episode, everybody's mourning except for Nightwing, who seems to be missing.
Because he's supposed to be going to tell Wally.
And so he's supposed to be telling Wally that Artemis is dead. Because apparently Artemis and Wally are an item.
Yes, they are together, a couple, yes.
And then he's in this warehouse, and it's very strange. And the next thing you know, Aqualad shows up in kind of his armor thing, and then Wally shows up, and then somebody else shows up, and it's Artemis. And apparently it was all a ruse, that Aqualad's not a bad guy.
And apparently Artemis and Kid Flash, Wally, are not as retired as led to believe.
Yep, it's all some kind of undercover op and all. The only problem, my only big issue with this show is when things decide to take a leap, they take a big effing leap.
Yeah, but see, like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and she, dies, and I'm going, ha! I can't, but what happened? And that's not, no, I couldn't deal with it. I just,
I honestly, while that sucks, I think it would have been awesome if they could have stretched that out for at least one more episode. Have a revenge episode, or seems to be, or have an episode where everybody wonders why Wally's not down in the dumps, or something.
Well, that's the thing. Wally is going to be down in the dumps because she's been given the little jewel from Zatanna, that made by Zatanna, that makes her appear and sound completely different, and she's boarding a Black Manta ship for God knows what reason, an apprenticeship, I think, an internship. They don't get paid well. She might get the cool helmet, but he's gonna be pissed off about that. He's gonna be worried about it.
Right.
So I think that's gonna lead into, he may go to more missions. So that's enough about that for today. I enjoyed talking about this with you guys. I enjoyed talking about it with you, my brother.
Yeah, I think we had one more thing. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it or not. We've got Comic of the Week. Now, I don't read comics anymore, but I did read this. Why don't you go ahead? You know about it. Let me see if I can pull it up.
It's the first issue of Earth 2. It's the new one, new DCU. It's the new DC 52, excuse me. And it's about the other Earth. I tell you what.
Oh, that's what I don't get. Okay, so this is a second Earth?
Yeah, the DC years ago, actually for the majority of many years, there have been a lot of Earths, and there have been many crises, which I will tell you about later, leading up to trying to weed out some of those Earths. The Earth 2 is a lot of the times is based around the Justice Society, which includes a lot of old members that I'm honestly not going to lie, I don't know a lot of them.
Okay.
But two of the main ones I do know, which are introduced at the end of this book, are Jay Garrick and Alan Scott.
Okay, so let's do this real quick. Okay, so this book is, so I gotta read comic. Let me go out here to the end so we can look at it real quick. And please load. My internet's being stupid. It's trying to load the final pages now. So again, like he was saying, this is Earth 2, which I know nothing about. I just know that it says
it's
Earth
by
2.
James Robinson, Nicola Scott, and Trevor Scott.
There we go. Cover is by Ivan Race. It's awesome. The artwork. This is the stuff I can comment on. The artwork and the covers, fan-freaking-tastic. So it was written by James Robinson. Apparently it was penciled by Nicola Scott and inked
by Trevor Scott.
By Trevor Scott. Okay, they must be brothers.
No, I mean, if you look at the art, you've got the basic sketching and everything. The drawing itself is done by, like you said, Nicola Scott. Whereas the inks, the darker spots, not the colors, the dark shading and everything is done by Trevor Scott. That's what they mean by inks.
I will take your word for it. But the artwork in it is fantastic. There's a couple of panels in it that are just blow me away. Just some of them, just the color in them. Just now, granted, I'm not reading this on an actual comic. I'm looking at it on the computer. There's a couple of things as a noob in here. I didn't know Batman had a daughter
in Earth 2. In this Earth 2, anyway, it does. It's Helena. I don't know who her mother would be. Most of the time in Earth 2, it's probably Catwoman.
Another thing I really like is a lot of times I don't like the way Wonder Woman's face is drawn. It always, to me, looks too animated. Looks too much like a cartoon, while everybody else gets these chiseled features that looks like a actual person. But whoever made the decision on how they were going to draw Wonder Woman, absolutely loved it. Let's see if I can find a close-up here. See, well, that's not the picture. Where's the one I really liked? think it might have been this one. Where, yeah, that right there. While that's a bad frame, I'm not going to tell you what's happening in this frame. It's an awesome picture of her face. She looks like a real human person. So that is awesome.
All right, do we want to give spoilers on the issues, or?
No, I don't think we're going to give spoilers. I think we just discuss it. There's only one thing in here about the story. The only thing okay, so there's a couple of things as a noob, and then I'll let you do your thoughts on it. The only thing about comics that honestly I don't like is sometimes it's hard to figure out which way to read. And I guess that comes with practice, learning how to read the right frames at the right time. What are they called? Panels. Read the right panels and all that good stuff. Now, as far as the story goes, I liked it. Some of it did seem a little disjointed to me, but there's one panel. Let's see if I can find it.
Which one? What are we talking about?
It's the military guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the actual panel. It says, "I was only joking, Sergeant Pratt. We all love you, man. You know that. Yeah, and I love you all too. Now, stay sharp." Okay, so I'm not in the military, but I don't think hardened military guys, now this may just be me, make a point of telling each other that they love each other.
Well, it's
and I know it's supposed to portray a sentiment or something like, but that in my brain, it may just be me. I don't know. I may be completely in the wrong here. It may just be me. But that panel in there, just you could have done without that panel, or at least gone with different writing, or just said, "Hey, shut up," something. Honestly, more degrading in my opinion. Just because you have to go with stereotypes in some of this stuff.
But that's the thing. It's Earth 2, and in that case, you can a lot of times break the stereotypes.
Well, but this isn't something that's really. I don't know. That was just really story wise, except for the fact that some of it seemed a little bit disjointed. It's like they didn't finish sentences or something. This was the only panel, and it's not a major panel, but this is the only panel that really just kind of went, huh? What? Did they just do that? So now I'll let you do your nerd talk with it.
I don't. You said you don't want to give spoilers, so we won't give spoilers. But I will say that the majority of this issue does base around the Trinity, the big three, in that universe for a while, and then events happen, and then you've got the introduction of the two of the main characters. I'm assuming for the normal story arc, which is Jay Garrick and Alan Scott.
And you telling me Jay Garrick is
Garrick is going to be Flash, and if you've ever seen the artwork, he's the Flash with the tin hat and the wings on it.
Okay.
That's, and Alan Scott is the original Green Lantern from the early 40s, 50s.
That I didn't know. I literally thought that
Hal Jordan
was the first Green Lantern. So why do they always put? Never mind. That's the discussion for another time. You can just tell me later when we read a Green Lantern comic. You can tell me.
Alan Scott was, he was the first one. His powers aren't even based like the normal Green Lanterns are. They were mythical.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we'll. I tell you what. Next week, we'll put in the notes for next week, which you probably should have been taking already. Next week we'll find a good Green Lantern comic run that might educate the noob.
Okay, so do you want to do like old comics along with new comics?
Oh yeah, we'll just pick whatever the heck we want.
All right then, we'll do that. All right, so I apologize for all the bumps and confusions along the way today. This is again my first time at anything live. My brother, he does a lot of stuff, which we're not going to plug right now.
We plug later.
We'll plug it in just a minute, but I just wanted to take this minute to say thank you, and if you are listening, awesome. I hope I didn't disappoint. I hope the noob didn't disappoint. And
thank you.
We want comments because, let's face it, we're not as interesting by ourselves as we are with someone who's telling us something they want to talk about. And
right. If you don't like something we did, specifically, if you liked what we did, awesome. If you're using iTunes, leave a rating. I'm not quite sure how iTunes works yet. I'm going to let him do that. I'm going to let Greg do that. But for me, if you liked it, then, or if you didn't like it, leave comments. Listen, that's how we're going to fix it. If your suggestion, honestly, if we don't agree with it, we may not change it. But this is the first episode, so.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to our first episode. I hope we have many more to come.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the new podcast. I am Michael. I'm the noob.
My name is Greg. I am the nerd.
Be sure to follow us at Nerd and the Noob on Twitter.
Or you can go to our Blogspot page, Nerd and the Noob, at Blogspot. nerdandthenoob.blogspot.com.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.